Today on the Diz List, we discuss the top 5 things to pack in your suitcase for your trip to Walt Disney World.
Welcome to the Diz List, the podcast that ranks everything in Walt Disney World. I'm Nick.
And I'm Rob, and welcome to episode 46, where we discuss the top 5 things to pack in your suitcase for your trip to Walt Disney World.
That was wordy.
Whew!
All right. So, you know what I would like to pack in my suitcase?
Snacks?
A limited edition, one of 2 Diz List podcast t-shirt.
Really?
Yeah.
I think, there is only, there's more.
Okay.
There's more than 2 that exist right now.
Oh, okay.
You mean which ones actually exist?
Yeah, in the real world.
Well, my daughter has a hoodie that she wears.
Oh, that's right.
I have a purple one.
Yep.
You have a
Blue.
Navy blue one?
Light blue.
Okay. Does anybody? I think there's only 3 in existence.
Okay, one of 3.
One.
That's like, and they're all different colors, so technically they're all one of ones. And
Yeah, right.
Where can we get those t-shirts, Rob?
Well, I have, the website still exists. I have a website where I sell t-shirts on, and it's called Mr. A's Tees. And I put up, I have a lot of different designs and things that I've done. I've drawn and designed, but I put up Diz List t-shirt to see if, hey, anybody want a t-shirt?
Yeah.
I'll put it up on the website. And this particular website is, so I create a store on TeePublic's website, and TeePublic prints and ships the designs.
Yeah. I have one too.
And you have one too.
Yeah.
And
My stuff's mostly Adirondack-y thing.
Yeah, they're great. They're great. So we both have our own little store, and I think it was earlier this week, I got an email from TeePublic that said, due to copyright, we are taking your design down. I'm like, what one? Like, I'm trying to look at what I have. Mostly it's just like, a buffalo for like Buffalo Bills. What doesn't say Buffalo Bills and doesn't use the logo. It's just a buffalo. Or something related to our school where we teach.
Or one of your bands.
Or one of my bands.
Like one of your bandmates is submitting a copyright claim against you.
I hope not. But I got in the email, it said, we're taking down your design due to copyright. And I was like, what one? What one breaks copyright? And I looked, and it said the Diz List t-shirt. So I sent it over to Nick, and Nick had quite a bit to say about that.
I immediately went scrolling through our Instagram feed, and I couldn't go through 3 consecutive accounts without coming across a podcast or a business with a logo that was straight up jacked from Disney. Like I know enough to know that what they did is they took this, they put it into Illustrator, they did an image trace, they expanded it, they deleted everything but the stuff they wanted.
Yeah.
Straight up drawn by Disney. Our logo is drawn by Rob.
Yeah, I drew it.
100%. All of it.
It's obviously a gloved hand, but there's a lot of characters from that time.
Did Disney cancel Michael Jackson then?
No. Great point.
Do you have to, maybe you can add an extra finger? It's a family show. I could tell you how you could add an extra finger, though. Because I'm that mad about it, right? Because it's like I'm scrolling through. There are major Disney news outlets that use straight up Disney stuff. Not close, not Disney adjacent. Straight up, this is Disney's logo, right? Yeah. There are multiple that just use the Disney, like the Mickey head silhouette. Like even our Mickey head silhouette that you used for the hyphen, you did with circles so that it wasn't the same size.
Yeah, it's not. It's not.
I
did that on purpose.
Right.
I didn't want something like this to happen. We wanted it to be reminiscent of Disney, but we also didn't want to, step on any copyright toes. So we tried to make it vague and,
Right.
again, if you look at our logo, I hand drew it on the iPad. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
It is what it is.
It's my drawing.
It's frustrating because Disney themselves have and I loved, right? This is a pro Disney podcast.
Yeah.
But if people are listening from Disney, they need to recognize that we make about 2 pennies, for every listen on this show.
Yeah.
Okay. We are not getting rich off of this, and you weren't going to get rich off of that T-shirt. It was mostly so like if I wanted to get a hoodie, I could get it, or if you wanted to get a different color, you could get it.
Yeah.
We didn't advertise it on here. We weren't making money on that. And then at the same time, like last I checked, Grimm Brothers would like to have a conversation, right? Because how much of their stuff did Disney steal and then immediately lobby to have copyright stuff changed?
Yep.
So that stuff does not enter public domain for thousands of years apparently now, where everything's the same. I know it's not thousands of years. Don't call in as a legal expert and be like, hey, guess what? You're wrong. Yeah, I know that. It's just frustrating, right? And I understand they don't want to lose money, but I can't buy a Dizzless podcast shirt from Disney. And I certainly can't, I just don't get it, right? Why that one? Because you go scrolling through there, and there are some T-shirt companies that, I mean, I'm not going to name names, but there are some big named Disney T-shirt companies that put some stuff that's really, really borderline. Yeah. And they get away with it.
But some of them, and they make fair, are really good, though.
No, they're great, but they make big money on them.
They do.
And I'm not talking about like Roosevelt's, who's like in cahoots with Disney, right?
No,
and
some
together.
Of them, like Lost Boys do really good designs, but I don't think they use any imagery.
No, I don't think they do. But like there are other ones though that straight up that do, and like they're decent sized companies, and like how do they get away with it?
I don't know.
They're not companies, but they're decent sized like Etsy businesses that I know. I see a lot of their stuff. Whatever. That's enough of me venting. I was just really frustrated last night when you sent that over to me.
Well, I may send you the designs and you can throw them up on your site as an experiment and see what happens.
Yeah, or put them on my site and like so I can buy a shirt and then immediately take them off my site. I don't know.
I feel like we'd have after doing all this, there might be one or two people that are like, yeah, I want a Dizzless shirt.
Yeah,
we'll put on yours so I don't get.
Can we put on the back this shirt does not like some kind of disclaimer on the back? We'll put the Dizzless shirt up with an asterisk next to it.
Sure. We
know a couple of printers. We can talk to those people who we know who are in the business and print.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, that let's get to something a little bit more joyous, a little bit more fun.
Sure.
Which is going to be our list today. Our list today. Things that you need to pack in your suitcase. I think we went different routes.
We did, which is fine. Which is going to make this interesting. Not a ton of overlap.
We've done a park bag episode, but like
and mine's a lot of that too, because like things that are going to go in my suitcase potentially will go in my.
Yeah, I mean, I think one or two of mine are park bag-ish type stuff, but things that on my list, a lot of them are like things that I don't know if you necessarily know you have to bring before you go, and then once you get there, you're like, oh, I should have brought this.
Yeah.
So we'll give you that list right after the halftime show, brought to you by Mr. A's Teas.
Oh, that's a good one.
Want to make a podcast? Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily, then distribute it everywhere and even earn money, all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer. No matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify. When you want to take your conversation with your fans to the next level, Q&A and polls are the best way to get them talking. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. Best of all, it's totally free, and there's no catch. When we discovered Spotify for Podcasters, we unlocked a door to a world where we could celebrate our passion, and we could create a community around what we love. I highly recommend you give it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started.
Welcome back. This week, we're going to count down the top 5 things that are in our suitcases before we go to Disney World. So, yeah, I mean, for us, we're traveling we live in the Northeast, and so we are taking a plane, or I guess I drove back that once. That was a whole thing
God,
because
that's a story.
our
Jeez.
Southwest customer service. So rented a van to come back.
You had something big going on, and you had to get back.
Well,
Did you have tickets or something?
No, I coach. That year I was like basically helping to run the entire micro thing.
Oh, right.
So I was doing
You had to get
soccer
back for
stuff.
coaching,
and
right?
I had to get back.
I couldn't remember. It was a different year where you had to get back, and you went to a soccer game.
Oh my God, that was last year. We did that trip was something else. We needed to unpack from Disney, pack to go to Baltimore, come back from Baltimore. We unpacked from that. We were all over the place last summer. But yeah, that was Arsenal were playing Everton in Baltimore, so that's what that was.
Huh.
But our suitcases, it's important. It's not like we can drive back, right? We can't just like, oh shoot, I forgot this at home.
Yeah, and some things you can buy and some you can't.
And let me tell you, most of the things that you can buy, all these things on this list you can buy. If you were to buy them from Disney, it's going to be at least twice as much. So my hint is, if you get there and realize I didn't pack that, I listened to Nick and Rob, but I forgot it. It's sitting on the counter or something like that.
Yep.
Go through Amazon and get like same day delivery through Amazon, or like even if you Walmart, whatever you want to do. If you don't like Amazon, go through Walmart. If you don't like Walmart, then go through a lot of these things you could probably get through a grocery store or one of those grocery delivery places. But
my number 5, you can't do that with.
Oh,
you can't.
Okay.
And it kind of sounds like I'm setting up a joke, and I'm smirking right now.
All right, let's hear your number 5. Now I'm intrigued.
My number 5 is sunglasses. So I have a prescription. It's not as heavy as yours, but I have a prescription, and my eyes are mega sensitive. The older I get, the more sensitive my eyes are, and I have to have them when I'm at Disney, because I have to have the polarized, it just is what it is. Older I get, the more sensitive my eyes are. So I have very specific prescription sunglasses, and I bring 2 pairs just in case. I have 2 pairs that I can use, but you could go onto one of the websites. What's the one that you use that you really like? Zenni?
I use Zenni. Yeah.
We use iBuyDirect. Both are great. I've bought from both of them before. But even if I were to order from either of those places, it wouldn't be there in time.
No, it would not.
So that's why, for me, it's very important that I have the right glasses for that. And I'm not a contacts guy. Nick is. I'm not. I just don't like the feel of them. I can see mine are mainly for distance. When I don't have my glasses on, I can see things are close up. But for me, my sunglasses are very important, especially, more specifically the prescription ones. And you can buy sunglasses there, and we've had our kids have lost them before, and we bought a pair of sunglasses, and they can be mega expensive at the parks.
Yeah, well, absolutely. So when you first started, I wasn't even thinking prescription-wise, because my mother-in-law on our first trip left her sunglasses, like she had taken her sunglasses off, and hers were like these, it's the people who have older family are going to be like, yep. They're like, I swear these things are the things they give you when they dilate your eyes and you put them on top of your glasses. So they go on top of her glasses. They're not as unfashionable as I'm making them sound, but she left those behind. And so the next morning, my wife went online, ordered them, and we got back to the hotel for our break, and they were sitting in our room.
Jeez.
So they came that quickly.
That's great.
I do agree with you, especially if it's prescription. So my son is in that boat. I honestly can't get prescription sunglasses because I can. It's very difficult. My eyes are really, really bad. They can't even correct my vision 100%. So I'll never get to 20/20, even with my.
Have you looked into LASIK at all? Anything like that? I don't want to do it.
I have, but then, I have.
I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
It makes me nervous.
No, I don't. It's not because I'm nervous. It's not cheap, and like kids growing up need braces and crap like that. So
yeah, good point.
But so for my son, we always bring a pair too. And now I'm second guessing why we don't bring 2 pair, because I think he has 2 pair. One's is like an old prescription, but it's not like that far off. But yeah, that's a huge one. If you have specific prescription sunglasses, make sure you bring those and put them in your. You might not think about it because you might leave. Let's say you're traveling in November, right?
Yeah.
It's
You don't need them here.
It's cold and dreary, and
I wear them year round.
Yeah, I mean,
if I am driving, I am wearing sunglasses. Period. I'm just my eyes are sensitive.
I wear sunglasses a lot in the winter, almost more than I do in the summer because of the snow.
The snow is the white is reflective everywhere. Yeah,
that's a good one. I didn't even. Yeah,
yeah, it's important for multiple reasons, especially the prescription. So number 5 for me, make sure you pack the sunglasses.
So this one, my number 5, is something that I bet most people don't even think about, and that's why I want to make sure to say it, is warm clothes.
Oh, yeah.
So saying nothing about how Florida can get kind of cool at night sometimes. You're going to be going in and out of stores and restaurants and your hotel room with some of the world's strongest air conditioning, I swear. Now they've turned it back a little bit.
Cold.
Yeah. Every single time we'll go into a restaurant, we'll be 15 minutes into the meal, and my daughter will be like, "It's too cold." Like, shh, it's not too cold. You're gonna like it. But no. So we've started bringing like a lightweight long sleeve, so it's warmer. I want to call it like fall-ish type of clothing. So I mean, a hoodie, a lightweight hoodie, a lightweight long sleeve shirt. Because the other thing you got to remember is you've been out in the sun, so you're getting a little bit of, even if you put a ton of sunblock on, you're getting some sunburn. And so when it's cool, it feels that much cooler. So for me, having a warmer piece of clothing is important. That includes, bring a pair of pants for like a pair of sweatpants and stuff like that for your hotel room. Or, I mean, if you're dining out, in a restaurant, in a table service restaurant where you're going to be sitting there for an hour or more, you may not want to be wearing shorts to that meal. So if it's a place where you could change, putting on a pair of nicer pants or that are going to protect your legs a little bit better and keep you a little bit warmer. But people don't think about that. And I know I didn't think about it. And then we got there and it was like, oh, yeah, she's cold. We're going to have to figure something out here. So it's better to bring that than to have to buy a $80 Spirit jersey.
Yeah, well, sometimes you have to anyway.
Yeah.
You actually mentioned part of my number 4 in yours. And the thing you mentioned was the long sleeve, the swim shirt, for example.
Yes.
So my number 4 is just sun protection in general. So I'm very fair skinned, where most of us in our family are redheads. So we really need to take care of our skin when we're out in the sun. So I had kind of a list of the main things that we use / do while we're on our trip for sun protection. So number 1 obviously is sunscreen. We like to use the spray sunscreen. It's a little easier for us, so that's what we like to use. We like the, oh my gosh, I was going to say Bahama Breeze, but it's not. It's Island Tropic. Is that what it's called?
Sure. Yeah, I think so.
Sure. That's the kind that we like. It's just because I mainly like the smell, and the kids like the smell too.
Okay.
The other thing is a UV umbrella is also part of sun protection. So there are umbrellas that you can use. Obviously, it rains. I may get to that later. But the UV umbrella is nice because if you are waiting in a queue outside, which was more of a thing during COVID, where they would extend the lines really long and you'd be out in the sun, the UV umbrella was really important. I don't think you necessarily need that. Because you're undercover a lot of the time, but that's important. Swim shirt we mentioned. So when we went swimming on our most recent trip, I had a long sleeve swim shirt on just so it would protect me from the sun. And at the same time, this is kind of funny, I would wear this, kind of sun hat. And Nick's got one that he likes to wear too. That's your mission hat, right?
Yeah, mission, yeah.
So I have one that's kind of, I don't know, they look like a dad mowing the lawn kind of hat, and you can wring them out if you want. So I wore that in the pool and the swim shirt at the same time, and I didn't really have to worry about sunscreen too much if I just knew that I was covered up. But sun protection is really important for us. We don't want to get roasted, and I did many times as a kid. We got to make sure that you take care of your skin. You don't want to end up getting skin cancer or anything like that. It's very important you take care of it. So anything you want to say on that? I'm sure you agree with all of it.
I do agree with it. It didn't, like I said, we took 2 different directions with this. I kind of went with the things you didn't think of to pack. I do think people are aware to pack sun protection, but I don't know if they're aware of like the types. So the UV umbrella there is a takeaway that I would say I took from you when you said, hey, you should bring UV umbrellas because the lines are really long now outside. So they weren't like that pre-COVID and post-COVID. They were, and they kind of stayed that way.
Yeah.
And especially at Hollywood Studios, you're going to want to have that, I think, especially for kids, that umbrella, because you can get into that. Like the Mickey and Minnie's is standing out for me as one where you're out in the open and it's going to be the sun beating down on you, baking you.
Yep, absolutely.
So I agree.
Yeah, what do you have?
So my number 4 is something that I don't think people think about. I know I wouldn't have thought about it. And it is packing an extra suitcase. Now listen. Now listen to what I'm saying.
I see where you're going.
So you get a collapsible bag, so a soft-sided bag, a duffel or whatever. We have one that's a checkable duffel bag. It's a decent size. And we use that for souvenirs. Because
or you buy 50 Spirit jerseys or whatever, yeah.
You go down with your let's say so I'm a family of 4, right? We go down, let's say we have 3 bags all packed to the 50-pound limit. You're not getting home. because you are going to end up with more stuff. You're going to buy ears, you're going to buy shirts, you're going to buy possibly shoes because you wore your Air Jordans. Possibly.
You're doing really good transitions to my next ones.
Okay.
And you don't even know what my list is. You're setting me up for the slam dunk every time. Continue.
That's kind of irony that I said Air Jordans. Slam dunk.
Here you go.
So we're going to, always bring an extra bag in my family because we can get away with maybe paying for one less check bag on the way down. If you're flying Southwest, it doesn't matter anyway, right? Because you're getting the free check bags. But, if you're paying for your check bag, you can pay for one less, and then on the way back, you have 4 instead because you take that soft-sided duffel or whatever you got and you put it in because it's not all going to fit in your backpack or your carry-on, and then you feel a little bit less limited about your souvenirs, right?
Yeah.
So then it's okay.
You can't get that plush.
Yeah.
Where's it going to go?
Right. You can't get that Lego set that you can only see here, right? Oh, you can't get that commemorative 50th anniversary game. I did that to my son this year. That's why I brought that up. It was a 50th anniversary Disney Monopoly he wanted. I was like, no, you're not getting it. Where are we going to pack that? And then I realized afterward, I'm like, I'm an idiot. We could have packed that. I felt bad. I really do feel bad about it. But so, Coop, you're listening?
And I wonder, packing the extra bag, obviously great idea, and the duffel is even better because you can roll up a duffel and put that in your suitcase. I don't know why this always crosses my mind every time I go to Disney, and it was the same thing when we went out to Disneyland. I want to send stuff home. Go to a post office somewhere, I don't know where, put it all in a big box and send it.
Yeah, I wish they should have
the Disney post office.
They should have a FedEx drop box.
Yeah, send it home. And you have to worry about on the plane.
You can do that with souvenirs, I think, right? You can have them shipped from the stores.
I don't know.
I think you can.
I know you can buy something from a store and they'll hang on to it or they'll send it back to your room. Sometimes they do that too. They used to.
Yeah, I think that's kind of changed. They'll bring it to the front of the park now. For a while, it was going to your to your room. It was going to your resort, and then you would go to the
front desk and pick it up.
Like every resort had their own. Like at the Poly, it was always the gift shop, the downstairs gift shop.
Okay,
so it was that boutique-y, I think it is at the Poly.
So you lobbed the pass up in the air and helped me slam dunk this next one, which is footwear.
Footwear, yeah.
Which I definitely goofed up on our last trip. And if you listened recently, you can go back and hear my story of how I screwed up. But the irony of this is that we've discussed footwear many times on the show.
Oh, yeah.
And I've given people advice on what to do and what to wear. And I broke those rules because I had these fun, fancy shoes that I wanted to wear. I love shoes, and I thought I was going to have a great time wearing these big old clunky shoes that did not end well. If you want to hear more about the story, you can listen to the Disneyland episode. So I would recommend that you wear walking or running shoes. Running shoes are great because they're really light. Obviously, they're made for runners that are going miles and miles and miles. Those are excellent to wear. But you also need to remember that it rains in Florida all the time. So if you are walking around and you get stuck and your shoes are completely soaked, and this has happened to us many times, in my backpack, I have ready to go. Either we've done slides before, we have done Crocs before, some kind of footwear that you can easily slip on, and then you can either wear them the rest of the day because they're going to dry pretty easily, or you can head back to your hotel and change. But footwear is very important. There's a lot of stories, some more embarrassing than others. One that was not involved with me that I will not share this time, but just know that if your shoes get really wet, they don't really smell good later in the day. So that's all I'm going to say. So footwear is important, and that all goes in your suitcase too. You got to make it fit. And, I wear a size 12 shoe, so it's not easy to put that in my bag, but I have to make it work. Because at the very least, I need two. I need the sneakers on my feet, and then I need to pack in whatever the slides or Crocs or something else, whatever is your thing. The Tevas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this, you're shortening the episode because you took this off of my honorable mentions. I had in capital letters on my honorable mentions list was multiple pairs of shoes.
Yeah.
So you just need to bring multiples because there's two reasons you need to bring multiples. You need to bring one that if one of them starts giving you blisters, you need to switch it up.
Yeah. I had to buy a pair.
And then the other one is you need to have multiples because if they get wet, you want to change. And so I don't care what your multiples are, you need to have a backup and they need to be comfortable and they should not be brand new. You should be testing them out.
Yep.
Wearing them for a little while ahead of time. But yeah, shoes are definitely, footwear in general is definitely something that needs to be very, very highly scrutinized when you're choosing what to bring.
Yep.
My number 3 is something that I definitely did not think we needed to bring. And my wife had, I don't know if she read it or what we saw on a video, but I can't. Number 3 for me is Ziploc bags.
Oh.
And I know you're like, wait, what? Here's the thing. Ziploc bags keep stuff in and other things out. And the keeping things out is the important part. So
if something's stinky or wet.
The wet, right? So it is inevitable that it is going to rain on your vacation to Disney World. If it doesn't rain every day, it's going to rain at least one of the days. It's probably going to rain every day. And you can only do so much to prevent getting wet. You can have a backpack that has a secure pouch or like a wet bag, but having Ziploc bags to put your electronics, to put your cords, to put your batteries, all the things that we talk about putting them into your, in your park bag, if they're just floating in there, it's going to be problematic. The other thing, the reason that it's nice is if they're just floating in there and you get stopped by security, they're going to pull every single individual thing out. Whereas if you have a Ziploc bag, they pull out the Ziploc bag.
That's good. That's good advice.
Here we go. Oh, those are battery packs. Cool. Put it back in.
Yep. And you get in the park quicker.
Yep. You can have a Ziploc bag with your electronic stuff. You have a Ziploc bag with maybe some snacks if you've got a hangry kid on your hands. I'm not saying that I have one. But I'm not saying that I have one. So make sure you have stuff like that. So packing a thing of Ziploc bags, it just prevents you having to put it into your Amazon order at Disney or your Walmart order at Disney if you bring some. And it's, they don't have to be Ziploc brand, obviously. Keep saying Ziploc, but I feel it's kind of like Kleenex. It's you got to bring.
Right.
You have to bring
the brand name.
Yeah, you got to bring a zip bag or those plastic bags to keep things. And you know what? I said keeping it out, right? Keeping the water out, but it can be for if you get caught in a downpour and your socks get wet or your shirt gets wet and you have extra stuff. I'm thinking more of the socks, and you brought your sandals or whatever that you can wear for the rest of the day. Very easily, you can take that gallon Ziploc bag and pack it full of everybody's socks from the downpour, and now you're not getting everything in your bag soaking wet. So that's my number 3 is the Ziploc bags.
So now you are Luke Robitaille, and you are
wow.
You are assisting. You're passing me the puck, and I am Wayne Gretzky scoring the goal for number 2 being the raincoat, because things are getting wet, obviously. So this raincoat is going to work for 2 things. One you mentioned earlier, and obviously you want to have a raincoat, and I would say a medium weight raincoat, and I'll tell you why. You'd think a lighter one would be good, or a poncho or something like that, which works, and that is great. But you can also check the box of, I'm cold, because you can pull out the jacket, and that can warm out a kid too. So if you have a raincoat that's also kind of a jacket and it's a little warmer than normal, not super, super thin, you can kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone. But again, like Nick just said previously, if you're at Walt Disney World, it's going to rain. It's probably going to be raining at 4:00. So when you're walking around the park, be ready to have raincoats for everybody in your family. And if you forget, and this also happened to us because when we arrived last summer, we were like, we're just going to zip over to the Magic Kingdom and just kind of hang out and come back. It started pouring, and you guys had yours, and we did not, even though they were back in the hotel room.
Well, it was one of those, that was like a legit storm. That wasn't one of those Florida storms. That was like, there's a weather system coming through, because that rained all night, sprinkling off and on. It wasn't like here's your afternoon thunderstorm.
Yep.
I agree with you. In fact, we have the same exact rain jacket.
We do. So that's a funny story too.
So, but we both have a Columbia jacket, and
dressed like a teacher day at school.
Yeah, and Rob's daughter may or may not have worn his rain jacket that is exactly like mine to school one day for dressed like a teacher day. I think it was that day. I can't remember what it was during.
And you were like, you said, how do you have my jacket?
Yeah. At practice, at soccer practice. I was like, why is my rain jacket out here? It's not going to rain today. I don't know, whatever.
It was funny.
It was. But I agree, you need to bring rain gear down with you. It's something you should get, something that can be easily packed in your park bag too.
Yep.
So this is kind of like, again, one where you're thinking of stuff you're also bringing into the park. I'm thinking of stuff that maybe isn't the obvious. And while I think rain gear is obvious, I don't think that it's obvious what kind of rain gear to bring. I also would say that ponchos I dislike a lot because ponchos tend to stick to you more, and they tend to like trap the heat more. I prefer
gross.
I prefer well, the one I have is the one we have is Columbia, and it's well aerated, and it's still hot, but not nearly like putting a poncho on.
Well, and that also works too when you got the I'm cold kid, because it has the tight, it's tighter at the wrist. And,
so it
keeps
not like
the heat in a little bit.
Right, they don't look.
They're not breathable.
Right, yeah.
You don't want it to be breathable.
Well, I mean, it's breathable.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't remember it being breathable.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just not, the water doesn't go through it, but it's got a little flap in it.
I guess you're right.
It's got a little back. It's got a little flap in the back.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Lets the hot air out. That's the problem with the ponchos, is they don't. So I'm going to try to see if I can lob you something again, but this is going to be a hard time to do this when I give you my number 2, because I don't know. I don't know how we could transition anything from my number 2 into something that you're putting at number 1.
I don't know.
But my number 2 is, okay, maybe
Wait,
a little
hold
bit.
on. Is your number 1 mustard?
No.
Oh, okay. All right, keep going.
Again, that's another throwback. Go back and listen to an episode that we did about not Easter eggs. Was it TLC? I think maybe. I can't remember. Well, go listen to all of our episodes.
That's probably better advice.
Yeah. And ignore the cringy bad audio in the first few episodes.
We're learning.
Yeah. So my number 2 is anti-chafing, like sticks or powder or whatever.
My gosh. What's the brand name?
Gold Bond or
that's one of my favorites.
Oh, Body Glide?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
So so my family are big fans of the whole family. We each have our own Body Glide stick.
Yep.
Listen, marathoners use it for a reason, right? And a marathoner doesn't have to be marathoners. Runners use it for a reason. And runners do it on days that they're doing like a half marathon or a 5K or a 10K. You will walk for consecutive days 10 plus miles every day. Like, I know it might seem a little TMI, but you're going to need anti-chafing stuff.
Yeah.
Whether it's the Body Glide sticks or you have baby powder or you have Gold Bond, or you have
My
a
favorite.
spray applicant one, and because you're gonna need it, trust me. And I know it sounds a little TMI, but it's something that you don't want to have to get there and find out the hard way.
Yep.
So pack it in your suitcase before you leave.
And I haven't seen that in any of the little, gift shops.
No.
Like at the hotel. I mean, they'll have
No,
like
not-
toothpaste and deodorant, but I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
And the DVC ones, they usually have a little bit better stock of that because people are welcoming home, right? They're coming home to their home resort. So there's more of the grocery type of things, and I've never seen Body Glide there. There might be baby powder in with like the baby section and stuff, but I haven't seen Gold Bond. So this is a ubiquitous, like, it doesn't matter if you're the one walking. So if you're not a kid in a stroller, but you're a kid walking, all the way up to if you're grandpa.
Yeah.
And you're not in one of the ECVs yet, you need to bring some something. You need to know that you're going to be walking a lot, and you're going to probably need to have some anti-chafing stuff.
Absolutely.
But I don't know how I could transition to your number
You
one
did.
with that.
And I don't have a sports reference for this one at all.
Okay, so what's your number one?
Well, my number one it's a necessity that a lot of people don't think of because normal people will pick up their phone and use it all day long and they charge it at the end of the day. Now that you need to use My Disney Experience and you need to use that for mobile ordering and everything else, the battery drains on your phone so fast. It just does. Even if you have a brand new phone and you think it's going to last all day, it just doesn't. And it happens to everyone in the family. Well, I guess maybe one or two people if they're not using it. But if you're the main person
Right.
booking Genie Plus, Lightning Lane, or you're doing all the mobile food orders, which is usually me and my family. My wife does it sometimes. She did it in Disneyland a lot. It was very helpful. But the phone charger was huge. I use my phone charger the entire time at Disneyland. It drained so much faster.
Well, and the other thing is that it's not just, even if you're not using Genie Plus and not using that other stuff, you're taking pictures, you're taking video.
Yeah.
That takes a lot
It
of
does.
power from these phones now.
Yeah.
Because these phones are basically computers in your pocket. And the other thing is, if I would comment, if you want to save your battery, turn off Wi-Fi. Disney Wi-Fi is notoriously awful. And by having your Wi-Fi on, your phone is using up battery searching for the next best Wi-Fi access point. So turn your Wi-Fi right off. But that's separate. I agree. You got to have your battery pack. Got to make sure they're in your suitcase and check right before you go. What's the legal stuff I can bring on the plane?
Yeah.
Because TSA is going to want to take a look at that.
Especially batteries, right?
Yeah, look what bags you can put them in and how big they can be.
Yep.
Because that's all super important. But I agree with you. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's a must. It's number one, especially with the digital age, and you have to use My Disney Experience, and otherwise it'd be 5:00 and I'd have a dead phone.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
So, my number one is something, again, not about your park bag, and something that I don't think I would have ever thought of, but God bless my wife. She read somewhere on some blog about this, and she brought one, and I was like, wow. So Disney hotel rooms don't have a ton of storage, right? So like they don't, because they're like, for instance, the Poly room does not have like a dresser, right? The thing folds out of the wall. It's a pull down couch or pull down bed. So my wife read somewhere, and this is a lifesaver for us, and we'll do it every time, is one of those collapsible hanging closet cubes.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny that you said that.
Why?
I was in the car yesterday talking to my wife about this on our way to the track meet, and I brought it up. She goes, "You know what you got to put on there is that packable shelving." Because Nick's wife, she brought it, and we can see everything right in front of us, and it's just, and I go, all right, that's good. I'm going to put that right at the top of my honorable mentions. So I agree with you, and it's so funny that was the first thing that my wife mentioned.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's a lifesaver because, like you say, you can see everything. You don't have to live out of a suitcase. You can tuck your suitcases away in the closet. Now, if you're in a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom villa, you're certainly going to have more space. But not everybody's doing that. I'm not doing that every time. If you're staying in a studio for DVC, if you're staying in a regular hotel room on the hotel side, whether it's value, moderate, or deluxe, there's not a lot of storage. Storage is at a premium. And if you don't want to live out of your suitcase, you buy these I think everybody can understand what I'm talking about, but they're collapsible shelving for a closet, and you just take and you buckle it onto the little the rod,
like the hanger rod,
right.
yeah.
And then you can have, everybody's got 2 shelves or whatever. That's what we use. You can bring a couple of them, but you're not. I mean, most of us aren't bringing, like, they have a closet with a rod, but most of us aren't bringing, dress shirts and stuff that goes on hangers anyway. That's t-shirts, right?
Yeah.
So it maximizes the space. You can even, for little ones, you can easily put their shoes in there. When we went in 2021, masks were being required, so we had, like, everybody had their own shelf for a mask, for their masks. So that was nice. They literally collapse to nothing. They're the thickness of a magazine. You can take 2 of them and not take up more than what you would if you had, like, a couple magazines, obviously.
Sure.
But
there's room.
And they don't weigh hardly anything, but they're
very durable.
They're durable, and you can use them at home too, but it's something you should definitely pack. And it's a very random thing, I know, but I'm telling you, you'll thank me later. I promise.
Yeah, and like I said, my wife, that was the first thing she mentioned, and I figured it would probably be on your list because I think the 2 of them have been talking about that one.
Yeah, it's a huge one. I mean, it's number 1 on my list for a reason, right? There's not a lot of storage, and being able to, you feel a lot better. So, we've talked before about how Disney is so comfortable. We've talked before about how Disney is just, it's different. You're in the bubble. Well, I like not having to live out of my suitcase for a week, and it's kind of cool because, like, you kind of do feel home. So that's my number 1. I know it maybe wouldn't be on everybody's number 1 list, but that's because you haven't tried it yet. If you've tried it, it'll be way up there.
Yeah,
so
it's a great idea.
All right, Rob, you got some honorable mentions.
Well, another similar one that this was my wife's idea, and I'm not sure if she's shared it with your wife yet or not, but we used this on our most recent Disneyland trip because our idea was we were going to just take carry-ons because it's a very short trip. It's only 5 days. We were going to take carry-ons and just bring them with us so we wouldn't have to check a bag. So in order to get everything to fit, my wife bought these things called packing cubes.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So the packing cubes were great. You don't have to just put, all your clothes in there together. I had a very small bag, the size of like a toiletry bag, basically, which was kind of like mesh on the outside so you can see in. Very, very light. And, you roll up your socks, you roll up your underwear, put them all in there, and it stays compact into that one little place. And these packing cubes they're pretty cool. They're really, really helpful.
They're like a bento box for your suitcase.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, no, those
I had packing cubes. I had the packable shelving. We just talked about that. That was on my list too. Gold Bond, you mentioned. That's a good way to really freshen up while you're there. If you're sweaty or sticky, take a quick break. Which is my next one, is pack more shirts than you need. I'll take a trip into the bathroom about maybe kind of mid-afternoon. I'll go in, change my shirt, take some Gold Bond powder, and just put it on my arms or my chest a little bit, and just it helps me feel fresh and cool off if you're not going back to your hotel and taking a shower or getting changed. Mm-hmm. It's a good way for you to do it kind of on the go. Cooling towels are really good too. I know your family uses those too.
Yeah.
You get them wet and they stay cold, and I know your son likes those. He'll wear it around his neck in the park. My son does too. But, those were some of the other things I had. And again, they kind of overlap with what to put in your park bag, but things like packing cubes and the packable shelving, that's not going in your park bag, but, don't forget it, obviously. What'd you have on your list? Do you have anything?
Yeah, so the only one you didn't touch upon that I had was backpacks. And I don't think people think about it because you're not in school. Why would I need a backpack? I'm not carrying books around. I like to get just a cheap... cheap, light backpack.
Yeah, I have a nice one that's heavy, but I wouldn't want to wear it around.
Right. So, and I'm not talking about like Loungefly because I feel like those are too heavy for the parks, but whatever. If that's you, that's
they're
you.
leather, and that's going to automatically have more weight to it.
So the brand that I like, and this is not an ad, this is nothing like that, is Venture Pal. You can get them right on Amazon. They're packable. What I mean by that is they fold into themselves into like a nice little pouch.
Cool.
Zip them up. You put them in your suitcase, and then when you go to use them, you take them back out. They have most of their models have a nice little water safe pouch. And on top of that, the material they're made of is quick drying.
Great.
So like if you do get caught in a downpour, you can take your stuff out when you get back to your hotel, hang that up like in over the shower rod or whatever, and it will dry really quickly because it's, I don't know, it's almost like tent material.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
It's very lightweight. And they're not waterproof, but they're certainly water resistant. So it's not like a ton of stuff's going to get wet on the inside, but the outside will have, will be wet. But they do have, like I said, the water pouch there. So I would say putting a backpack, a nice lightweight backpack, or if you're more of a fanny pack person, I know those are coming back. They shouldn't, but they're coming back.
I've actually used that before too. So if you're not a fanny pack person, or you're like, I don't want to be seen wearing one, what I did was...
You won't be alone.
Well,
you will not be alone.
Well, I don't have a ton of stuff in there, but I would wear like athletic shorts, like the mesh kind of basketball-y shorts. Mm-hmm. Actually, they're more like lacrosse shorts, I think. And I didn't have pockets in there for things.
Yeah.
Some do, some don't. But I would have the fanny pack, and I would put it around the back of me, and then just kind of put my shirt over it. Yeah. I'm not trying to put it in the front and make it like neon like it was in the 80s and 90s.
You would not be out of place.
Right. I know people still do that
You would
too.
not.
But they're handy. I've done backpack. I've done just the fanny pack before because I got to have my sunglasses to switch in and out, and wallet, phone, charger, all that stuff. It's very helpful.
Yeah. So that's my only honorable mention that you hadn't mentioned. But there's lots of different things that people will pack that you wouldn't necessarily think of, and I would love it if you went to social media and you told us something that you think is a thing you can't live without. You always pack it, but most people would not ever even think about it. Maybe it's not on our list, and you want to share it with us, and we'll share it with our other listeners as well. As always, be sure to follow us over at on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, at DizListPod. If you've been listening and enjoying the show, please leave a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and leave a review over there on Apple Podcasts where you can actually leave a comment. And we'd love that because we will, sometimes I post them on social media, or we could read them here.
Yeah.
But we've been enjoying the interactions with all of you, and hope to continue to grow. Rob, you got anything to add?
Yeah. If you're a new listener, thanks for listening. Pass it to a friend. Pass it to an enemy. They'll need it for sure. But we always appreciate new listeners, and we hope you tune in again and listen and check out another episode and go along with this crazy ride with us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow's just a list away.
Tune in next time, and we'll see you real soon.